Whoa, check out this bustling city. Lots of greenery, public transit, open-air restaurants, walkable streets where you can laugh with your neighbors from across the sidewalk. And look at this factory. It's gotta be filled with good-paying jobs. Yeah, you know, this place actually looks pretty great. So where is it? Well, it's right here. Well, at least that's where they'd like it to be. That's drone footage out of Solano County, California, where a company called California Forever has been working to turn tracts upon tracts of rural land into a new, bustling, walkable, affordable green city nestled between San Francisco and Sacramento.
This is a compact footprint that is designed to bring all the things that the residents of the county have told us they need. Like middle-class homes and good-paying jobs and clean energy and new opportunity, whilst protecting everything that makes Solano County so special.
That's the CEO of California Forever, and his company needs to get approval from voters in Solano County in order to get around protections that were put in place in the 80s to prevent agricultural land from being turned into urban land. But I wouldn't necessarily start investing in a new closet's worth of athleisure just yet, because this group that's basically rounding up ingredients to make a new city from scratch definitely has its work cut out for them in the kitchen. For one thing, like telling your job interviewer that you really like their realistic looking toupee, California Forever didn't exactly score a great first impression. As I'm sure you remember, though probably not based on the view count, your news refresh first told you about this California Forever thing back in September. For years, locals in Solano County, like the mayor here of the small town of Rio Vista, California, which would edge right up against this newly proposed community, noted last year that about 78 square miles of space was in the process of being snatched up in a mysterious land buying spree.
It started probably about 2018 and began hearing about this outfit that was paying way above market for agricultural land, making purchases here and there. And nobody seemed to could find out who they were and what they were up to, why were they making these purchases.
California Forever had been behind this effort since the company was first created in 2017. But nobody knew the motives behind this land grab until they went public last fall. And at the time, locals like this mayor pro tem of another nearby city were already put off by strangers snatching up a bunch of property near an Air Force base.
The better thing would be to approach our city leaders and work with us within our city boundaries, not to create a new city. I think that endeavor is a bit self-motivated with their own end goal, which is to create a new playground for who they want there versus what the needs of our residences are and our community members.
Last year, California Forever claimed they bought up all this land to avoid short-term land speculation, and they always planned to bring the community on board once they had everything they needed. But people weren't just turned off by all the secrecy surrounding these title deeds being taken off the board, like some Monopoly player trying to wipe out their opponents and ruin a night of family fun. The CEO of California Forever was a Goldman Sachs trader, and this whole thing has been backed by a bunch of billionaires, like venture capital guy Mark Andreessen, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman, and philanthropist Laurene Powell Jobs. And for years, several other benevolent billionaires have been pursuing their own ideas for some sort of techno-utopia towns of their own. And when I say towns of their own, I don't just mean for themselves. Like the one Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly behind in Hawaii, which features a secret, non-disclosure-laced 1,400-acre, $270 million compound, complete with a 5,000 square foot underground bunker to protect himself. So much for all that jujitsu. In 2008, billionaire Peter Thiel invested in a floating island startup called the Seasteading Institute to build floating cities like these, before resigning from the company's board in 2011 and declaring the idea is not feasible. The same conclusion my high school friends and I reached after trying to construct a man-made island out of Home Depot products. Billionaire Timberwolves owner Mark Lohr wants to make a city called Tolosa in the middle of nowhere, filled with futuristic amenities like blended coffee drinks and hot air balloons. Tolosa means metropolis, and middle of nowhere means an unidentified spot of desert in the American Southwest. And then of course there's the Line, a 170-kilometer long linear smart city under construction in Neom, a special economic zone of Saudi Arabia. That's overseen by Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman, net worth $25 billion, and financed by the kingdom's $700 billion sovereign wealth fund. Its mock-ups resemble something out of Westworld, meaning it looks incredibly futuristic, complicated, and destined to remain incomplete. But hey, it's a pretty good-looking distraction from the kingdom's human rights record. Am I right? I used those same bits in that other video, by the way, but again, judging by the view count, this is the first time you're hearing them. Anyway, in California Forever's case, its CEO kind of agrees with some critics that in order to build this new community, they're pretty much going to have to take the file new route out of Sim City, because construction costs and a lack of land make it too hard to build within existing cities. Though on its own debunking myths section of its website, they simply state their goal is to create a walkable, middle-class community, which isn't backward-looking or futuristic or utopian, it's timeless. So less Apple Watch and more watch. California Forever's head of planning seems to concur.
For the broader region, we have a chance to make a real contribution to housing. For people in Solano County, we have the chance to bring good paying jobs much closer to home. That means people can have a shorter commute, it means the tax base will be strengthened.
And indeed, this plan is a pretty bold vision. Following this presentation from last week, they're already imagining some 20,000 homes for 50,000 residents between the Travis Air Force Base and the small city of Rio Vista, packed densely with all these fine amenities. Imagine a place where, after your piñata party, you can visit bakery before trying on some Radiant attire, before seeing Blackbird Theater at theater. They're also pitching all sorts of investments in the region and community, like a $400 million fund to help community members buy homes, another couple $100 million to downtown areas, scholarships, water, schools, and they even say this new community could grow to as many as 400,000 people, but only if they first create 15,000 new jobs that pay above average wages. That mayor of Rio Vista seems impressed.
I'm excited. I think the footprint makes a lot of sense. I like I really appreciate the way they took some of the comments that we had, some of the concerns that we had expressed to them. They incorporated those concerns in their plan. So I really see a lot of synergies, and I see things, how things could really happen to make our community much better.
It's pie in the sky. No crime. The stuff they're trying to sell to people is just garbage. And I don't think it's going to fly in this county. Nobody wants it.
That guy, a Rio Vista resident, isn't so hot on this whole plan.
I think that when they do bring that new community in here, there's going to be so much traffic, so much population growth. They're going to have to build freeways. They're going to have to build a new bridge.
Not only have critics said they've been shut out of this whole planning process, others, like this lady from Rio Vista, flat out think California Forever is California dreaming here.
It's just not gonna work. I mean, it sounds great. I love the fact that, they want to provide affordable housing to those kids who want to be closer to their moms and dads, so they don't have to move out of state or they don't have to move to Southern California. That sounds all great and wonderful, but it's just they picked the wrong area.
So on January 17th, California Forever filed a ballot initiative seeking approval from Solano County voters in November that hopes to overturn the protections in place that prevent urban development. Should that be approved, they say they'll still have to spend a few years doing an environmental impact report and drawing up a development agreement before we all move in. But November is still a long ways off. And even though this campaign is backed by some pretty deep-pocketed billionaires, they're still expected to face more resistance over environmental concerns, infrastructure, and other lofty promises. So will this turn out to be just a nice little rendering, or a photograph sent backwards in time? Check back with your news refresh in 10 years to find out.